The Titanic, a name synonymous with tragedy, heroism, and one of the most infamous disasters in modern history. When the unsinkable ship met its icy fate on that fateful night in April 1912, it was thought to be a catastrophic accident. But what if it wasn't? What if the sinking of the Titanic was part of a deeper, darker conspiracy, one that powerful figures have worked tirelessly to keep hidden for over a century? Today, we're diving deep into the theories, secrets, and mysteries surrounding the Titanic. Was it really an iceberg that doomed the ship, or could it have been something more sinister? Could the Titanic's demise have been a deliberate act of sabotage or fraud? Get ready, because the answers may change everything you thought you knew about this historic event. One of the most compelling theories about the Titanic revolves around its owner, the White Star Line, and its wealthy backers. Did you know that the Titanic wasn't the only massive ocean liner the company built? It had a nearly identical sister ship, the RMS Olympic. The Olympic had a troubled history. It collided with a Royal Navy ship called the HMS Hawke in 1911, just a year before the Titanic's maiden voyage. The damage was so extensive that some theorists believe the White Star Line could no longer afford to repair it properly. And here's where things get suspicious. What if the company swapped the Olympic for the Titanic? Could the ship that sank on April 15, 1912, have actually been the damaged Olympic, deliberately scuttled to cash in on a massive insurance payout? The financial pressures White Star Line faced and the timing of the sinking have led many to question the official story. Another layer of intrigue involves the passengers who canceled their bookings at the last minute. Among them were some of the wealthiest and most influential men of the era, including J.P. Morgan, one of the most powerful bankers in history. Morgan was not just any passenger. He owned the White Star Line through his International Mercantile Marine Company. Strangely, Morgan canceled his trip on the Titanic mere hours before its departure, citing illness. Yet eyewitnesses later claimed to have seen him in perfect health, enjoying himself in France. Why would someone so heavily invested in the Titanic's success skip its maiden voyage? And Morgan wasn't alone. Industrialist Henry Clay Frick and his wife also canceled at the last moment. Could they have known something the rest of the world didn't? The Titanic was hailed as the pinnacle of engineering, but some experts argue that its design flaws were downplayed to ensure maximum profits. For instance, the ship had only 16 lifeboats, enough for about half the passengers and crew on board. Was this decision purely economic, or was it part of a calculated risk? And why were the warnings of icebergs ignored in the hours leading up to the disaster? Multiple ships in the area sent ice warnings to the Titanic, yet the ship continued full steam ahead. Some speculate that this recklessness wasn't just hubris, but part of a deliberate plan. Now here's where the conspiracy theories take an even darker turn. Some claim that the Titanic disaster was part of a plot to eliminate powerful opponents to the creation of the Federal Reserve, America's central banking system. On board the Titanic were several prominent businessmen who opposed the formation of the Federal Reserve, including Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus, and John Jacob Astor IV. All three perished in the disaster. Meanwhile, J.P. Morgan, a staunch advocate for the Federal Reserve, escaped unscathed, having conveniently canceled his trip. Could their deaths have been more than a tragic coincidence? When the Titanic's wreck was discovered in 1985, it answered some questions but raised even more. Some researchers claim the ship's hull shows evidence of a massive explosion from within, not just the damage caused by an iceberg. Could a fire in the coal bunker, which some historians agree burned for days before the collision, have weakened the ship's structure? Others point to missing serial numbers on parts of the wreckage as potential evidence of the Titanic Olympic swap theory. If this was truly the Titanic, why would certain identifying marks be missing? If the Titanic sinking was part of a conspiracy, why has the truth remained hidden for so long? The answer may lie in the power and influence of the people involved. With financial empires and reputations on the line, the stakes were too high to allow the real story to come to light. From the moment the Titanic sank, White Star Line and its backers controlled the narrative. Survivors were silenced, evidence was destroyed, and inquiries were carefully managed to ensure the official story prevailed. But as time passes and new evidence comes to light, the cracks in this carefully constructed tale are becoming impossible to ignore. The Titanic remains one of the greatest maritime tragedies of all time, But was it also one of the greatest cover-ups in history? From the mysterious actions of powerful figures to the unanswered questions surrounding the ship's design and wreckage, the evidence suggests that there's far more to this story than meets the eye. What do you think? Was the Titanic disaster simply an unfortunate accident, or could it have been part of a deeper, darker conspiracy? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most intriguing mysteries.